Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button, guys, if you're new to the channel and if you enjoyed this video. So, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder has actually warned both Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, and I'm going to be quoting some of the things he said to you guys. So here it goes. America has been wanting a heavyweight king for a very long time, someone they can look up to and be happy about. I give America that pride and joy of having their own superstar and heavyweight champion they can call their own, baddest man on the planet. Now, first of all, I do agree with one thing Wilder said right there. He says that America has been waiting for a heavyweight king for a long time. That's true. I'm an American. I grew up in the 2000s, and during that time, there was no great American heavyweights. There was just a lot of European heavyweights, guys like Vladimir Klitschko. And I always wanted to see that great American heavyweight. Unfortunately, they all sucked. At least during the 2006, 2009, 2010 era, they all sucked. So when Deontay Wilder came along, I had high hopes for him. I wanted him to be the next great American heavyweight champion. Sorry about the phone in the background. I wanted Deontay Wilder to be the next great American champion. Unfortunately, he turned out to be a ducker, a cherry picker. But I do agree with that thing where Wilder says that that America had been waiting for a champion for a long ass time. And I'm going to continue to quote Deontay Wilder. Since the last few fights, I've got the world's attention like I wanted it. This is just the beginning for Deontay Wilder. The things that I can do from now are incredible. Those guys, he's talking about Joshua and Fury, have a chance if they do the right things, make the right fights, have the right fights, then America will love them. It's interesting that he says that he's basically saying that if Joshua and Fury want to have the American public to basically respect them and be fans of them, they have to make the right fights. Right, funny enough, because a lot of American fans feel the same way about you, Wilder. They want you to make the right fights. They wanted you to fight Vladimir Klitschko. They want you to fight Anthony Joshua, but you're not making the right fight. So I think you should take your own advice. And just like you say, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua should take the right fights to have the American public respect them. You should take the right fights. You should challenge yourself to have the American boxing fans respect you. Because this guy acts like all American boxing fans love him and respect him. That's not true. Many American boxing fans are critical about him. They don't like his cherry picking, like guys like myself, like other American boxing fans, like other American YouTubers who make videos talking about boxing, who criticize him. So, excuse me again. So, yeah, I think he should take his own advice. You say that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury should fight the best guys. You should do the same thing, homie. And I'm going to keep quoting Deontay Wilder. But they have to understand that when they come to America, it's totally different. Our outlook and view is different. We like to be cocky. We like to talk old school. We like to see aggressiveness. The fighters fighting the best. They don't want to see nobody running. So he's basically saying that the American boxing fans love seeing fighters fight the best guys, and they don't like seeing because he says the American boxing fans don't like seeing people running. So basically the American boxing fans don't like seeing people ducking other fighters. Funny that he says this, once again, Deontay Wilder, take your own advice. You've been ducking several guys your entire career. You're ducking Anthony Joshua right now. You ducked $100 million to not fight Anthony Joshua. So why don't you take your own advice? And, because he's saying, hey, man, if you fight in America, Anthony Joshua, because, Anthony Joshua is fighting in the U.S. against Jerome Miller. Tyson Fury is going to be fighting in the U.S. He's fighting in Los Angeles next. He's going to be fighting a few fights in the U.S. So he's saying, listen, if you're going to fight in America, dude, do not be ducking guys. Homie, take that advice. Take your own advice. You shouldn't be ducking dudes. You're the one ducking dudes. But you're claiming other heavyweights shouldn't do that. But you're the one, you're a hypocrite. You're the one ducking dudes, son. And then he keeps saying, when these guys come to America, I am the king here, no matter what people say. You're not really the king because you have one belt. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand his fanboy channels, his loyal foot soldiers call him, get on their knees and say, Deontay Wilder's my king. They love calling him king. King Wilder. King Wilder. He my king. What you talking about? He a king. But you're not a king to me. I don't see Deontay Wilder as a king. I've never called Deontay Wilder my king. You're a king in the heavyweight division when you have all 4 belts. You have to understand that. I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to continue to say it. I will not call Deontay Wilder the best heavyweight champion if he doesn't have all 4 belts. You want to be considered the best, beat Anthony Joshua, become undisputed. I will call you. I will be the first guy to make a video saying you are the number 1 champion. But I'm not going to be saying he's the number 1 champion with 1 measly WBC belt. I'm sorry. Just the way it is. Nobody was calling Terrence Crawford the best guy at 140 when he had 1 belt. Were they? No. Back then, they were saying Victor Posto's the best lightweight. The best 140-pound fighter. Victor Posto is the best guy. I remember that. People were even saying that Terrence Crawford was ducking Victor Posto. Victor Posto's the best guy. Julius Ndango, he's the best guy. What did Terrence Crawford do? He fought both of them dudes. He fought everybody at 140. He wiped out the division. And he proved to the world that he was the best guy. So you got to do the same thing, Deontay Wilder. Beat Anthony Joshua and prove to the world that you're the best guy at heavyweight. All right, guys, I'm going to keep quoting Deontay Wilder. They have to be careful what they do here in America. They have to understand that boxing is not our top sport, so they could easily get bored of you. It's not like in England where boxing is almost like a second sport. These guys will be understanding what I've been going through to become a star. I had to deal with certain things in boxing with the other sports that are in America because boxing does not get the same attention. So this is one thing I do agree with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder claims that boxing in America is not like boxing in the UK. He says that in the UK, boxing is like the second number 1, like the second sport next to the number 1 sport. I'm assuming and I'm guessing that the number 1 sport in the UK is football, because I noticed that in the UK they advertise football a lot. So I guess again, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be totally wrong. I'm not from the UK. If you're from the UK, let me know. Is football the number 1 sport in the UK? But I do agree with him. In the UK, boxing is definitely more. There's more demand for boxing. At least when the fans go crazy for boxing in the UK. I see it when fighters fight. I see the support. So the UK is definitely more. People there's more boxing fans in the UK than or at least people are going more crazy in the UK than in the US for boxing. He says that boxing is not the number 1 sport. I agree. In boxing, there's 3 number 1 sports. I'll tell you right now. The number 1 and the NBA, American basketball. Basketball is huge in the US. People in the US love basketball. Basketball gets advertised on TV every day. Every day I see another commercial for basketball. Like I said, basketball is crazy. People go crazy for basketball in the US. American football. People go crazy for American football in the US. Have you ever been to a football game in the US? Oh, people go crazy, bro. And Major League Baseball. Those are the 3 most popular sports in the United States. Baseball, football, and basketball. When it comes to Americans, being hardcore fans of sports and, watching and going crazy, they go crazy for those. Even the UFC. I get the impression that the UFC is more popular in the US than boxing is, because if you look at when the UFC posts full fights, look at the views. They get 2.5 million views for those fights. Yeah, if you look at premium boxing or Showtime and when they upload a full fight of a pay-per-view fight on their channels, it only gets 400,000 views. So more people watch and even interviews. If we see interviews where these big UFC channels are interviewing fighters, they get so many views compared to the views that boxing gets. So this lets me know that more people in the US are interested in the UFC than they are in boxing. And so I definitely agree with that when it comes to Wilder. Excuse me once again. Boxing is definitely not the number 1 sport. It used to be one of the number 1 sport. Maybe it wasn't the number 1 sport, but it used to be a very popular sport in the US. But for some reason, it kind of is not as popular. Obviously you got hardcore boxing fans in the US like myself, like a bunch of other dudes who still love the sport. But it's definitely not as big as the UK. And what he says is interesting. He says Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will find out that it's not easy to grow in the US. Because when it came to him, it took him a long time for people to start recognizing him. And he claims when he fought Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury That's when people, and you know why people started recognizing you when you know why it took you this long, Deontay Wilder, for the American public to recognize you, because you were fighting a bunch of bums. So people were like, who the fuck's Deontay Wilder? Who the fuck is my heavyweight champion? I don't know him. He hasn't fought anyone. But when he fought Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury, these were guys that people knew about. That's why people started knowing who you were. That's why it took you this long. Because you're cherry picking. Once you fought Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz, the two best guys who fought in your entire career, that's when finally people were like, oh shit, the American boxing fans were like, okay, I know who he is. I've seen a channel came out and said, I did not pay attention to Deontay Wilder's entire career until he fought Luis Ortiz, and he's an American. So that should let you know how American boxing fans feel. They did not know who Deontay Wilder was unless they were hardcore boxing fans, because he was not fighting the best opposition. He says that both Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are going to find this out, that it's not easy to build up. But you know what? Already Anthony Joshua is doing pretty well, because he sold out. When it came to pre-ticket sales, he had one of the fastest ticket sales for Joe Miller, and he's never fought in the U.S. So far it's looking good for Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury is probably going to do really bad, because no one knows who Tom Schwartz is. Again, when it comes to the American boxing fans, they don't know you if you don't fight good quality opposition. If you fight number buns, they don't know you. You want them to know you. Fight the best guys. This is why it took so long for Deontay Wilder to be known in the U.S., because he was fighting such shit level opposition. It took him 42 fights, because like I said, ironically enough, it was Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz who basically made the American boxing fans know who he was and started paying attention to him and taking him seriously as a champion. So, again, take your own advice, Deontay Wilder. Fight the best. And like I said, Anthony Joshua, if he fights Deontay Wilder next, they're gonna know who he is. The American boxing fans already know who he is, at least the hardcore boxing fans, and they're gonna definitely know who he is when he beats Deontay Wilder. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video. That's all I have to say. It's the longest video, I'm sorry, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'm out.